Now, as the Portfolio Committee on Home Affairs continues its nationwide public hearings on the Electoral Amendment Bill, it's been told it may be bungling the process and may end up in court. The hearings follow the June 2020 Constitutional Court ruling, which found that the Electoral Act 73 of 1998 was unconstitutional, in that it requires political party membership for election into the National Assembly and provincial legislatures. Well, to join us now with a response and a view is Musa Chabane, the chairperson of the committee, to give us more insight. Mr. Chabane, good afternoon. Thank you very much for your time. First up, just a general question. How are the hearings currently going that you have begun across different parts of the country?
Thank you. Good afternoon, Braden. We have so far encouraged by the responses we are receiving from the public to participate on the amendment bill as you have outlined. And I think so far we are encouraged, and our observation is that political parties, NGOs, and individuals interested in this process are responding well in this engagement.
Would you say that the public hearing process so far is fully compliant with the committee's constitutional responsibilities?
Yes, so far we've made sure that all the process, the committee, when they engage on public hearing, are adhered to. And we were satisfied as a portfolio committee that all that we had to do in terms of the prescript that guides us to interact with our people during the public hearing have been satisfied. So far, I think, as I've indicated, that the committee were receiving a positive response and were encouraged by the people of the republic that have make sure that they are entering this discourse.
Yeah, I've seen the reports, and a short while ago I spoke to the Executive Secretary of KSEC, Mr. Lawson Naidu, who says they've written to you in terms of this current process. One of the concerns is that you may be limiting engagement on the amendments of this proposed bill. Are you limiting the engagement?
Well, I may not account to their view that they are holding. What I can account the process of Parliament, how to have engaged. You remember that the Minister of Home Affairs appointed the former Minister Valamusa, who has done with his team that they have engaged with various stakeholders to input on the process of the bill and to respond to the constitutional judgment. And secondly, that ultimately the report was submitted to the minister and ultimately to cabinet, and cabinet has interacted with tabled the amendment bill to Parliament, which we are dealing with now. What we did in terms of the Parliament portfolio committee was to issue an invitation to the public to respond to the amendment bill, give comments, and that we've received a number of written submission. Secondly, there was a request from stakeholders, including the stakeholder you are mentioning, that they want to do oral submissions, which we have opened oral submission on the 2nd and the 3rd of February 2022. After that process, we have then opened up to those that could not have made a written submission, could not do oral submission to the public, so that we go on the ground to interact with more political parties, NGOs, and individuals interested or want to participate in this discourse. So we are satisfied that we are able to reach out to all citizens, and also yourself as a media platform. You are assisting this process to proceed.
You don't believe that you are holding this process in any way hurriedly to meet your June deadline?
It may be an incorrect narrative that is being built. What the committee, I think, consciously have taken a decision. It appreciated that the time that we've been given by the Constitutional Court is limited, and it requires us to complete this process in June this year. In order to respect that process, in order to open up the engagement for our people extensively, the committee considered to resolve that it must approach the Constitutional Court to extend the time, which I think at the level of Parliament, they are engaging in that process, is to allow enough time for extensive discussion, extensive process with our people. So we're not stalling the process. You know that once the portfolio committee has tabled a report to Parliament, the next stage, and when the Parliament is considered, is for the National Council of Provinces to interact with the same process. And there's another process that the NCOP has to take, whether they may take the decision to consult further with our people or stakeholders or parliament or political parties, and even those that are not in Parliament, so that we reach out to all. We are rushing the Parliament. We are not holding that narrative. Ours is to make sure that we request enough time. But as we stand now, the process, we are receiving response on the communication with our people.
Okay, so the process is underway. And did you say that there is a matter before the Constitutional Court to extend the deadline beyond June? Did I understand you correctly, Mr. Chabane?
The committee did consider it and resolved to take a decision to request, to approach the Constitutional Court for extension of a period, which I think at the level of the Parliament, that process is underway. You heard me correctly.
Okay, yeah, okay. Well, we have to wait and see then what's going to happen there. So you are very much mindful of the noise of this narrative, as you say, that you might be rushing the process. Because I guess for you and your fellow MPs and for the rest of the country, you don't want at the end of this to be accused of a flawed process, then end up with a constitutional challenge, which will further delay the amendment of the Electoral Act. That's not going to suit anybody in the Republic.
I think all of us will agree on that platform that we don't want any other obstacle that will be a challenge. And I think we take counsel from all sectors of our people, NGOs, and political parties. That's why the committee has said, look, the period that we've been given and the time and the work that must go into place, we need enough time to consolidate and give space for everyone to interact with the amendment bill. So I think all of us as citizens and stakeholders, political parties, were in one that we don't need a shortcut space in order just to respond to the Constitutional Court judgment. We need extensive input submission for all sectors and political parties. So far, I think we agree that our course of our resolve in terms of requesting, and we'll await for the decision of the Constitutional Court, but I think we're on the right path to request for the extension so that what you are raising as a concern, we don't have it as a constitutional challenge.
Thank you very much, Mr. Musa Chabane, for your time. He's, of course, the Portfolio Committee on Home Affairs chairperson in the National Assembly.